صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All right, all right. So let's get started tonight and make the most out of our time. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. With regards to Kitab al-Nikah from Umdatul-Ahkam. Alhamdulillah, we successfully finished, and hopefully we will move forward to Kitab al-Talaq. And of course, subhanAllah, as we said before, opposites attract. A very important principle of life. Opposites attract. You learn, you understand, and most importantly, you value and appreciate a thing by knowing its opposite. So one of the key ingredients of having a successful marriage is knowing about the other and the opposite, divorce. That divorce, separation, breaking up is reality. It's a truth. It's a part of life. It's a learning curve. It's a part of your growth and your development, your maturity. You appreciate the marriage that you have knowing that the opposite is real and it's out there. We don't have to be married. It's a reality. Men who complain about their wives or ungrateful or unappreciative of their wives or whatever the case may be, the wife may have to remind him, you know, there are countless brothers who are more handsome than you are, have more wealth, have better bodies than you do. They have more ilm. They're better men, and they're single, struggling by themselves. And a man may need to remind a woman with your complaints and this and that, I don't have this, you never took me here, you never bought me this, you promised me this, etc., etc. Do you know how many women in the world today are single? Statistics, do you know? Muslim and non-Muslim alike. Women that could be more beautiful than you, know more than you, cook better than you, or better than you, smarter than you, so on and so forth, and they don't have husbands. They're struggling to find a husband. So you appreciate and you value what you have when you know the opposite is out there and that it's real. It's a reality. Okay? The better that you know the ledge and the clearer and more defined it is, inshallah, the further you stay away from it. So when it comes to learning and studying the deen, you learn about nikah and its rulings, and you learn about talaq and its rulings. Of course, before all of this, you learn about tawheed, its virtue, its importance, its status, and you also learn about shirk and its reality, and that it does take place. And many people from this ummah, as the Prophet ﷺ has told us, will revert back to shirk before the end of time. So you learn the beauty of a thing from its opposite. That's well known in the Arabic language, the Arabic culture, the Arabic literature, the famous line of poetry concerning a thing is only understood by its opposite. All right, so that's first and foremost. And never ever forget this principle of life. The virtue of having money is only known through knowing the reality of poverty. Okay, khair inshallah. All right, so before we get started with that, I want to share, perhaps if we have enough time, something I was reading on the airplane from one of my favorite authors, Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, may Allah have mercy upon his soul. The name of the book is called Ighathatul-Lahfan. Page 890, the author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَالْفِتْنَةُ بِعِشْقِ السُّوَرِ. Maybe we can, is it possible to take the lights off, at least here? It could be easier for us to see, inshallah, maybe a little difficult. If possible, inshallah. Somebody got to know I'm here. Somebody's the man, inshallah. Somebody. Okay, so it's only one light, huh? Khair, inshallah. Nobody wants to sit all the way in the dark, inshallah. All right. So Ibn Qayyim, may Allah have mercy upon him, and this has nothing to do with nikah or talaq. There's just an additional benefit, inshallah. He says, وَالْفِتْنَ عِشْقُ الصُّوَرِ تُنَافِي أَنْ يَكُونَ دِينُ الْعَبْدِ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ بل ينقص من كون دين الله أو دينه لله بحسب ما حصل له من فتنة العشق. So first and foremost, he talks about a very widespread problem that most of us suffer from. And I don't want to be oppressive by saying all of us, or even most of us, but I mean, reality is the reality, right? He talks about a thing called the ishq as-suwar, which basically means the love and the passion of icons. The love, the passion, the addiction, the connection towards pictures and images. Things that people draw or sculpt or paint, and you love to look at those things and adore those things, idolize those things. And even in the modern culture today, you worship this worship, that worship. He's my idol. So it comes from an ishq. It is the severe passion that the servant has from looking at these things. The author Ibn Qayyim, he talks about how this is a major, major problem. And there's no way that the deen of the servant can be purely for Allah as long as these images and these icons are beloved to him. And his heart is attached and fixed to these icons. That's not the topic of discussion tonight. Okay, let's move forward. Next page. He then talks about fitna and the definition of fitna and the types of fitna and the Quranic styles of the word fitna. Allah talks about the kuffar, the mushrikeen, all right? He talks about inna shajarat al-zaqum, the zaqum tree, and he calls it a fitna for the dhalimeen. It's a fitna for the mushrikeen. It will be a test for them. And he talks about the angels only being 19. Alayha tis'ata ashar. How can there only be 19 angels? I can take 10 of them with one of my shoulders, one of the mushrikun said. And then I can take the remaining 9 with my left shoulder, and we can go across the sirat and into Jannah. He talks about how Allah Azza wa Jal gave that number as a fitna for them, a test. They're going to believe it, they're going to reject it, they're going to make fun of it, etc. Okay. He talks about إِنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ fitna, that your wealth and your children in reality is nothing more than a trial and a test for you. That's all it is. The children that you have, the money that you make, that you spend, that you save, is nothing more than a fitna in this world. All right, we're not here to discuss that as well. Let's move forward. Next page. Okay, this is what I want to read to you guys. And this is a reminder for each and every single one of us. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَمِنْهُ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضَكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً وَهَذَا عَامٌ فِي جَمِيعِ الْخَلْقِ امْتَحَنَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ اقرأ قال فامتحن الرسل
قال فامتحن الرسل بالمرسل إليهم ودعوتهم إلى الحق والصبر على أدائهم وتحمل
مشاقي
في تبليغهم رسالات ربهم.
So he quotes Surah Al-Furqan, verse 20, and this is very important, and it has a connection, direct and indirect, to marriage and to divorce. Getting married, staying married, getting divorced, rebounding, bouncing back, so on and so forth. It's all connected. He says that Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us, وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً, and we have made you tests, trials, and troubles for each other. These are Allah's words. We have made you a fitna for your neighbor. The brother sitting next to you, he's a fitna for you, and you're a fitna for him. Your parents, your children, your elders, male, female, you're all adversaries, fitna for each other. That's all it is. It's a test and a trial. He says, and this is comprehensive, this is general, pertaining to all of Allah's created beings. They're fitna for each other. امتحنا بعضهم ببعض. One point, one example. He says, فَامْتَحَنَ الرُّسُلَ بِالْمُرْسَلِ إِلَيْهِمْ وَدَعْوَتِهِمْ مِنَ الْحَقِّ So Allah has tested the messengers. Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, Muhammad, the Rusul, Ulul-Azam, وغير Ulul-Azam. The messengers, Allah tested them with their own people. The people, the nations, the races, the tribes, the clans to whom they have been sent. They are required to convey the message, give them dawah, and to be patient upon their harm and their annoyance. You're a liar, you're a madman. You have to give dawah to people. You think you're better than me. Just yesterday you were out here with us doing this. Oh, you such and such. You following this one. You riding this one. It's a fitna. They're adha, the verbal adha. And of course the physical adha. You call someone to the haqq, they may try to physically harm you. You call someone to the truth, you have the guts, the courage to speak the truth, even though the people hate it, even if it's bitter. And they'll try to lock you up, imprison you, sanction you, cancel you, censor you, harass you in the airport, etc. It's a fitna. You're going to stop calling to the truth? You're going to stop speaking the truth? You're going to stop proclaiming the truth? Are you going to fall in line with 99% of the people and just go with the convenience? Or are you going to be bold enough to speak up? Or are you going to complain and quit and claim to be the victim in life? They victimized you. Have you read this ayah? We have made you fitna for each other. So those whom you're calling to the truth, they're fitna for you. He says, وَتَحَمُّلِ الْمَشَاقِ فِي تَبْلِيغِ رِسَالَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ. And all of the difficulties, the hardships, and the burdens that come along with you conveying the truth. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the soft, tender people giving dawah. It takes fortitude. It takes a great deal of sabr, because that's the name of the game. It's a fitna from day one. Next example, he then says, وَامْتَحَنَ الْمُرْسَلِ.
وامتحن المرسل إليهم بالرسل وهل يطيعونهم وينصرونهم ويصدقونهم أم يكفرون بهم ويردون عليهم ويقاتلونهم.
Then he says, and the exact opposite. The peoples of the messengers, Allah tested them with who? With the messengers. It goes both ways. What will they do when the messengers reach them? What will they do? Will they obey them? Will they support them? Will they believe them? Or they disbelieve them, belie them, and reject everything that they say, and then fight them and kill them? He then says, وَامْتَحَنَ الْعُلَمَاءَ.
وامتحن العلماء بالجهال يعلمونهم وينصحونهم ويصبرون على تعليمهم ونصحهم وإرشادهم
لوازم ذلك.
والوازم ذلك.
The ulama, the learned people in Islam, Allah tested them with the ignorant people. Will you teach them? Will you be patient? Will you continue? Will you give up? Will you want a reward from them? Thanks, praise, good job, mashallah, alhamdulillah? Or what if the people say ignorant, negative words when you try to teach them things? Not dawah, but ta'lim. Will you spread the knowledge, or will you hide the knowledge? Will you look down upon the people, think that you're better than them? Or will you look at yourself as the servant of the people? And that the student is doing a favor to the sheikh in reality. I owe you, not the opposite. You're doing me a favor by allowing me to teach you and to pass on some type of beneficial knowledge. He then says, moving forward, he says, وَامْتَحَنَ الْجُهَالَ بِالْعُلَمَاءِ. And Allah has tested the ignoramuses, the lame Muslims, with the learned Muslims. هَلْ يُطِيعُونَهُمْ وَيَهْتَدُونَ بِهِمْ. Will they obey them? And will they take their guidance? وَامْتَحَنَ الْمُلُوكَ بِالرَّعِيَّةِ وَالرَّعِيَّةَ بِالْمُلُوكِ. The leaders are fitna for the led, and the led are fitna for the leaders. It's a game of tennis, ping pong. It goes back and forth, back and forth. In Qayyim, he talks about the poor, he talks about the rich. He says, وَامْتَحَنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءَ بِالْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْفُقَرَاء بِالْأَغْنِيَاءِ وَامْتَحَنَ الضُّعَفَاءَ بِالْأَقْوِيَاءِ وَالْأَقْوِيَاءِ بِالضُّعَفَاءِ The weak versus the strong versus the weak. وَالسَّادَةَ بِالْأَتْبَاعِ وَالْأَتْبَاعَ بِالسَّادَةِ. The leaders, the influencers, the trendsetters, and the followers. The followers with those whom they're following. They're fitna for each other. وَامْتَحَنَ الْمَالِكَ بِمَمْلُكِهِ وَمَمْلُكَهُ بِهِ. The master is a fitna for the slave. And the slave is a fitna for the master. How are you going to behave? What are you going to do? What are you going to say? How are you going to treat these people? Human being, not a human being. I'm free. I'm the master because I deserve this. Because, or the exact opposite. This is why, FYI, this is very important when it comes to marriage and divorce. It's a famous scene from a very famous TV series way back in the day, which was a groundbreaking series when it first aired on television. Most of you weren't even alive. A few in the crowd were alive. So it was a master who had slaves. He was wealthy. And he sat around, he was drinking his tea and his coffee, and they were laughing and joking. And they were saying, these slaves, these people from this race, they're born to be this way. They're happy, they're pleased. This is how God made them. This is how things are meant to be. And they happened to ask another man of their race who wasn't a slave, nor was he wealthy. He wasn't a planter. He was an overseer. He was of their race, but he was poor, and he was far less noble than they were. And they said, isn't that right, such and such? And he says, with all due respect, I disagree with you. He said, no one is born a slave. A slave is made. A slave is trained. A slave is programmed, brainwashed, and forced into being a slave. But no human being is born a slave. And the only reason why he knew this is because he himself was once an indentured servant. And he came from a line of people that were slaves. So he knew the fitna of being a slave, and the master and the slave, they're both a trial for each other. How you're going to behave. What's going to be your attitude when you get the knowledge? What's going to be your attitude when you get a wife? What's going to be your attitude when you get the husband that you made dua for? It's a fitna. I know for sure if you don't treat this guy properly, he will find someone else better than you. If you don't treat this sister kindly, with respect, with dignity as a human being, this is someone's daughter that you're married to, she's going to find someone else, and Allah will give her a better husband than you. So don't think that just because you have the upper hand, you're free from trial. That's the moral of the story. The master owns the slaves, he's still under the fitna. The slave, is he going to be patient? Is he going to give up? Is he? What is he going to do? Everything in life is based off of fitna. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, وَامْتَحَنَ الرَّجُلَ بِامْرَأَتِهِ وَامْرَأَتُهُ بِهِ. And Allah has tested a man through his woman. And he has tested the woman through the man. Men are bigger, men are stronger, men are this, men are that. Women are this, women are... It's a fitna for both. No one has a free pass in life. Everything in life is a test. You're going to pass the test, you're going to fail. If and when you pass, flying colors, straight A's, you're going to win with ease, or you're going to struggle. And if you fail, how hard are you going to fail? You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to fall flat on your face, fracture your cheekbone, fall in the mud, allow people to walk over you, trample over you, or you're going to get up. So you have to determine that. In life, there are winners and there are losers. There's no third category. Those who say winning isn't important, winning is everything. And that's why there's a W column and an L column. That's why it's a shot clock. That's why it's a scoreboard. And that's why the boxer is a prize fighter, to make money. So winning, and the winning attitude that the believer has to have, is a game, it's a fitna, it's a test. That's all it is. And I have to pass this test. Single, happily married, I'm married with some troubles, divorce, whatever the case may be. He then says, وَامْتَحَنَ الرِّجَالَ بِالنِّسَاءِ وَالنِّسَاءَ بِالرِّجَالِ. Allah has tested men with women and women with men. Men like to look at women. Men think about women, fantasize about women. It's a fitna. And women have desires too. They have lust too. They fantasize too about men. The moment a person thinks that it's only a one-way street, that is when the shaitan gets you. Abby, I want to get married. Oh, just be patient. You're a woman. You'll be all right. You don't need to get married right now. That's wrong. That's incorrect. The son wants to get married, he gets married, he marries off the son, but the woman has to wait. They both have desires. It's a fitna for both of them. Going to college, going outside, watching the television, on your phone. the pictures, the images, the videos, the icons that you see, the sports, the music that you listen to, etc. It's all going to arouse your desires. What are you going to do about it? You're going to get married, or you're going to fall into the haram? You're going to appreciate the marriage, make the most of it, or the exact opposite. Ibn al-Qayyim, he says, وَالْمُؤْمِنِينَ بِالْكُفَارِ وَالْكُفَارَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And Allah has tested the believers with the disbelievers, and the disbelievers with the believers. وَامْتَحَنَ الْآمِنِينَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ بمن يأمرونهم وامتحن المأمونين بهم وكذلك كان فقراء المؤمنين وضعفاؤهم من أتباع الرسل فتنة لأغنيائهم ورؤسائهم. And then he goes on and talks about the poor, the low, the base, the mean. They were the ones who accepted Islam. And this was a reason why the noble people, the notable people, al-mala'u, the high-born people, the wealthy, influential, they refused to accept Islam. Because they would say, this ex-slave, this manumitted slave, this one, that one, that. He can't beat me to something virtuous. I'm smarter than him. I'm nobler than him. And this, subhanAllah, even to this day in America, people don't accept Islam because they look at the demographic. Why are only these people accepting Islam? The people in jail, or the people from the Middle East, or the people from this country. Why is only black people that accept Islam? Whatever the reason is. And they use these trivial issues from accepting the truth. Someone's poor, someone's dirty, someone's short, someone's ugly, someone's this. Belief is belief. And it's a fitna. What are you going to do? You're going to fall victim to the people and what people are going to say about me? Or are you going to do the opposite, huh? Going to Medina is a fitna. What the people are going to say, what my parents are going to say, so on and so forth. All right, that's a very long discussion. And to be honest, Ibn al-Qayyim, like all of the time, he knocks the ball out of the park with at length and detail. All right, the seerah, the tafsir, the hadith, and these different Quranic verses that show the attitude of the mushrikeen and why they refused to accept Islam and Iman, and how Allah made the poor fitna for the rich, and made the rich man fitna for the poor. All right, khair, inshallah. Let's move forward with our introduction. We said 3 fingers, right? Bismillah. MashaAllah. Tahi. Jazakallah khairan. All right. So last year we finished Kitab al-Nikah, right, guys? It's like people, few head nods. We finished Kitab al-Nikah last year. All right, who can mention some of what we went over, some of the benefits that we spoke on last year? That was about a year ago, huh? Last summer. Bismillah. Quickly. Amir. Don't worry, I know more names too. It's an extended clip. All right, so if you don't volunteer, I'm gonna call on you, inshallah.
We learned the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud that there's a recommendation to get married.
The hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the command to get married, whether that's recommended or obligatory, but for sure it's a green light. You're pushed towards getting married. Getting married isn't shunned in Islam, for sure. It's not haram or makruh. It's either wajib or sunnah to marry. All right, Tayyib, Jazakallah khair. What else did we mention? What did we talk about last year? Who made review? Who appreciated the benefits that we shared? Huh? Sheikh Jihad. How long was the flight from New York City? People back home on the East Coast mad and angry with me. Why are you going out to Minnesota? Spend time here, your friends, your family, this and that. You got to give me a reason, huh? Right. All right. So this is going to be a brief summary here, summarizing some of the main points, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's a little redundant, a brief summary summarizing. Okay. Some of the main points of marriage. There's a few ideas. These things came to me while I was on the plane, and I chose to jot them down and share them with you guys, inshallah. I need a new reader, a volunteer. It's not in Arabic, so you don't got to be scared. The English is not going to bite. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Who's going to be a volunteer? All of this youth that we got with us. Anybody? Yes. Jazakallah khairan. Bismillah. Faddal. Marriage is a means of. So first and foremost, this is the outline. We have marriage, its virtues, its importance, its benefits, its rulings, its etiquette. Etiquette is a singular in English, not with an S. Etiquette. Many brothers, they say etiquette, so it should be etiquette. It's singular, right? Manners can be plural. Etiquette is always singular. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Its obstacles. And afterwards, we have why so many marriages fail. Allahumma musta'an. Yeah, we can start from the top. So number one, marriage is a means
of following Allah's natural way and plan.
marriage. Why should you get married? Why should you stay married? You went through an ugly divorce, things didn't work out, blah, 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 blah. Why even try? It's easier to just have a girlfriend. It's cheaper to have a girlfriend. Rather, I don't even have to have a girlfriend. For real, for real. Why even have a commitment in 2024? Just like you got Uber Eats and DoorDash and Lyft and Uber and this app and that app, right? You don't have to go to the restaurant anymore, right? You don't have to go here, wait, flag down a cab. From the convenience of your phone, boom, boom. Anything and everything, rather they can deliver a car to your front door. Is this not the case? So having a girlfriend or boyfriend, that's what? That's outdated. I have this friend, this benefit. Simple. There's no need for me to be attached to a woman anymore. And there's no need for me to be attached to a dude anymore. Anything that I want and need, I can get by myself without no strings attached. Right or wrong? Is this not the culture? It's reality. Things are different now. So why should you get married? Why should you stay married? What's so important or special about marriage? First and foremost is marriage is a means of following Allah's natural way and plan. How Allah wants things to be. And that is for a man and a woman to be together as a unit, as a team. The man without a woman is nothing. And a woman without the man is nothing. And the shaitan, he wants us to think and feel that we can be individual, we can be by ourselves, we can be single. I don't need no bleep, bleep, bleep. I don't need no bleep, bleep. That's the whisper of the shaitan. But in reality, everything about you, mentally, physically, spiritually, you're in need of the opposite sex. I don't know about the time of the prayer. La adri. Yeah. So we're going to stop? Yeah, I don't know, Akhi. You have to speak to the local brothers, inshallah. All right? You have to speak with him once again. Jazakallah khairan. Right now, we're teaching nikah. The time of the salah, I'm traveling from New York City. I don't know what time you guys pray. When you going to pray, are you going to delay the salah? You have to speak with the admin concerning that. Jazakumullah khairan. Whoever wishes to go pray, let him pray. Whoever wishes to sit and listen, let him sit and listen. Wallahu ta'ala alam. All right. So marriage is a means of following Allah's natural way. I.e., if you're not married without an excuse and you continue to live in a celibate manner, you continue to live by yourself, you're going against the fitrah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what Allah has planned for the slaves of His slaves, the believers, the men and the women. So who in their right mind wants to go against Allah's plan? Who wants to go against Allah's fitrah? So you're going with what Allah wants from you. And inshallah, the Mashiach, Allah's will, Kawni, Shari'i, will both be actualized when you get married, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's a major benefit, and that's a major virtue. Number two, marriage.
Marriage is a means of obeying Allah and gaining closeness to Him, the glorified and exalted.
Marriage is a means of obeying Allah, because Allah commanded us to marry. And it's a means of you getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I don't need to be married. I don't need a woman. I can cook myself. I can clean. I can do this. I have children already. But I'm going to get married just because it's ibadah. And maybe this is my ticket into Jannah. And maybe this is a means of Allah forgiving me and loving me and me being near to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think about that. Spiritual professionalism. It's not about you, but it's about Jannah and Jahannam. It's about my soul. All right? Number 3, marriage is a means,
Following the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah.
sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can't be on the sunnah fully unless you follow all of the sunnah in general, in whole, a holistic following of the sunnah. And from that is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam marrying more than once, more than one woman. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraging and passing on the message, oh young men, get married, be married, and dealing with people's marital problems. And of course, this is one of the reoccurring themes of the Quran. Allah talks about how to keep a marriage together. And Allah talks about divorce and separation when it's inevitable. There's no way around it, you do it the correct way. And if that's not the case, you do this and you do that. So following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is not just about how you dress. It's not just about seeking knowledge. It's not about just what type of beard you have or sajda mark or what type of thobe you wear. You have a Moroccan thobe, I have a Saudi, Kuwaiti, Somali thobe. It's not about that. It's deeper than that. Many people systematically stay away from getting married and claim to be upon the sunnah. It's mushkila. Number 4, marriage is a means
Of obeying the commands of the Messenger of Allah.
the commands of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. Alright, inshallah, we're going to stop at Mu'adh. We'll come back after. Bidnillahi ta'ala. We'll come back after. Jazakumullah khairan. And of course, we know that it is permissible to delay it, but this is the program. That's why I didn't necessarily just stop immediately. Tayyib. Jazakumullah khairan right after the salat. Inshallah. Barakallahu fikum.